It's September 11th, 2020. I talked to my pastor, who is usually off on Fridays. I said, hey, would you like to go trail riding on Friday? And he said, yeah, I could go. So I picked him up this morning. We headed to St. Paul, Virginia, to the trailhead there. And as we were pulling up the trailhead in to go to the parking lot, there was a wildlife conservation officer from Virginia heading out. And he was also a canine officer. So I kind of flagged him down. I said, hey, I was a deputy game warden in Pennsylvania. He said, oh, really? And we talked about, that job and everything. And I said, hey, listen, can I share something with you and pray for you? He goes, oh, yeah, absolutely. So I got out, I gave him a police gospel card, and I laid hands on him and prayed for his safety and salvation. And when I was done, he said, hey, I really appreciate you doing this. He goes, but I'm already saved. I said, really? Tell me your story. So he told me how he got saved, and I said, great. I said, it was nice meeting you. He said, have a safe day on the trail, and off they went. So then I headed up onto the trail, and while we were on the trail, we passed the guy who was like the trail superintendent. He does law enforcement and manages the trails and makes sure it's all clear and stuff. And Brian was driving, and so Brian just kept going, and I didn't realize that, it was too late. I couldn't stop and talk to the guy. So anyway, I figured, well, who knows, maybe we'll see him later someplace. So we passed another guy who had a Kymco side-by-side. It's a pretty unusual machine. I believe it's Korean, but you don't see any of them on the trail. It was a utility machine. And I saw him twice in two different places over the span of several hours on the trails. And that's kind of unusual to see that. And I said, Lord, maybe this guy needs to hear the gospel. I said, if we see him again, I'll share with him. So we come to this intersection, and there's the guy stopped on the trail right at the intersection. So I stopped. I said, hey, how do you like your Kymco? He said, I like it a lot. It does everything I want it to do. And we talked about his machine and stuff. And I got out. I said, can I share something with you? And he said, sure. So I pulled out one of our off-road Gospels of John with the plan of salvation and explained it to him and gave it to him. And we left. So we're driving around a little more, and Brian got tired of driving. He said, you drive back. So we were on the trail for like 6.5 hours. And so I'm driving down the main trail to go to the parking area, and here comes the trail superintendent again. And he's coming up the trail, and we both kind of slammed on the brakes because we were both heading right at each other. And he pulled up, and we talked. He said, man, you've been here for a long time today. I said, yeah, it was a long day. It's been about 6.5 hours. He goes, what trails did you hit? And I said, we hit all the blue trails. He goes, man, the black ones are really bad. He says, I wouldn't go on the black ones. I said, yeah. I said, I avoid them too. I'm not looking to break anything or to get hurt. And so Brian asked him some questions about his job, and I finally said, hey, could I share something with you? And he said, sure. So I pulled out one of our off-road Gospels of John, gave it to him and explained it to him, and I said, I'd love to pray for you. Is there something we could pray about? He said, well, yeah, my wife just had some surgery. She had some medical issues, and he said, you could pray for her. And I said, what's her name? So I ended up praying for him and for her. And he said, hey, I want to give you something. So he gets out of his machine, goes around the back, opens up this box, and pulls out 2 Spearhead Trail System stickers. He goes, I don't give these to just everybody. He said, here you go. And I said, thank you. I said, I guess I read. I got 2 stickers. And he said, yeah, I got stuff for kids and whatnot. He said, but you keep them. And I said, well, I appreciate that. So then we got down, and we had to go to town to wash the machine and to get gas. As we're driving down into town, here's a St. Paul police officer stopped on the side of the road. So I pulled over, got out, said, hey, I was a police officer in New Jersey on a SWAT team. Could I share something with you and pray for your safety and salvation? He said, yeah, sure. So I ended up sharing this police gospel card with him, and I laid hands on him in the car and prayed for him, and he thanked me. So it was a great day. We had awesome weather. The trails were phenomenal. We saw one piece of wildlife. We had a box turtle walking across the trail. But that was it. But it was a great day, a lot of fun, great fellowship, and we got to share with the gospel with a bunch of people. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend.